everybody, welcome to Fast Politics. My name is Anthony Patton, and I'm here, there I am. And Christopher McFarland's not in today. The reason why is actually I wanted to be on the show, and I talked to him, and he wouldn't let me on the show, so what I did is I kidnapped him. And I got stowed away in a safe bunker somewhere, and when his family pays the ransom, he should be back in 2 weeks. I'm very confident that's going to happen. In the meantime, I am your loyal host, and you're riveting show, and we're going to talk about lots of exciting things today. I'm going to take my take on a lot of issues, and beginning with, of course, the presidential election and how disgusted I am with both candidates. Donald Trump, I think the latest news is that he's fired his whole campaign staff. He's going to reboot, and I don't know what good that's going to do. And Hillary Clinton is apparently running a slush fund out of the State Department. She's very corrupt and breaks a lot of laws, and nothing will ever happen of that. So anyway, that's my take on that. And I actually have an endorsement, a surprising announcement, my endorsement for tonight's later in the show. And before we get to that, I have a lot of other topics I'd like to discuss, beginning with an idea that I've had since April. I've introduced the show in April. It's called tax-free overtime. And what that would do, if it were implemented, it would eliminate all taxes on overtime wages, or if you have two different jobs, multiple jobs, anything over 40 hours. And the reason why that would help it help millions of people across the country. And I have a worksheet here. Let's just say that you, for example, if you make $10 an hour, you're making $15 an hour in overtime. If you just average 10 hours a week of overtime, you'd save $1,100 annually. Over 5 years, that's like $5,000 extra into your pocket. And if you go to $20 an hour, you're making $30 an hour, that same 10 hours of overtime every week results in a savings of $3,000. Now, project that over 5 years, even if you don't get a raise in 5 years, that's $15,000 extra in your pocket. And that would be a tremendous boost to the middle class and the working class. And just one other example is $30 an hour. If you're making $30 an hour as your base pay, 10 hours a week for overtime at $45 an hour, your annual savings on federal income tax would be $5,600. And so obviously over the course of 5 years, that equals over $27,000. That's the kind of idea that neither candidate is talking about, and that's why we need that. And that's my idea. I also have a website at taxfreeovertime.com. And there you see that. And the idea is if you go online, sign the petition, we want to get support for it. And my goal is to go to Washington and lobby all the people in Congress, as well as the president, and we want to make this happen. So if you go to taxfreeovertime.com, there's the online petition on change.org. Go ahead and sign the petition. Check it out. There's an online tax calculator. You can calculate how much exactly you'd save every year on taxes. And that would be a great, tremendous tool as well. And if you also want to go the extra mile, share it with your friends and Facebook and social media. Honestly, I'm not the most social media savvy guy, so that would be a tremendous boost to the cause as well. And besides that, if you want to get on the horn, holler at your congressman, but via email or telephone call or Candygram, however you want to do it, that'd be awesome as well. And so that's my great idea, taxfreeovertime.com. Like I said, I think it also would be, just for an example, if somebody makes $10 an hour, they're working 40 hours a week. So 52 weeks a year, their gross income is going to be $20,800, of which their federal income tax, not counting Social Security, not counting Medicare, or state income tax, you live in a state with state income tax, federal income tax alone would be about $1,000. Now that same person, they were to take a second job, same deal, 40 hours a week at $10 an hour, that bumps their salary up to $41,600, but unfortunately, their tax burden goes up from $1,000 a year to $4,000 a year. So they work twice as many hours, and yet their taxes quadruple. And folks, that is just wrong. That's immoral. And in the meantime, what the politicians have done is all of this elections campaign, 2016 election campaign, they're going to raise about $5 billion combined. A presidential race, all the congressional races, $5 billion, of which not one red cent will be taxed. None will go into the general fund. None's going to go serve the greater good. So what they've done is they've set up a system where their extra effort, their extracurricular activity is tax-free, while the rest of us, we get to pay exorbitant taxes for working hard. And I'm going to make one other side point about that, which is they will come unglued. If I were to suggest that we put a tariff, which is basically a tax on a good from a country that has no labor laws, no environmental regulations, no workplace safety laws, put a tariff on that, they come unglued. They call me a bunch of names. You're a protectionist, you're an isolationist. No tax on foreign goods, no tax on congressional fundraising, but they're going to punish everyone on their overtime tax. That's why it's also important to me that we set a new paradigm for the American taxpayer. So that's that. Moving along, we're going to go to another great idea I have, which is my immigration plan. And before I get into that, I'm going to let somebody else speak for me who would do a better job of saying it than
The Commission has concluded that a properly regulated system of legal immigration is in the national interest of the United States. The Commission recommends significant redefinition of priorities and reallocation of admission numbers to fulfill more effectively the objectives of our immigration system. Now, to be specific, the immigration recommends a tripartite immigration policy that permits the entry of nuclear family members, professional and skilled workers, and refugees. We propose core immigration levels of 550,000 per year. The Commission emphasizes nuclear family. We recommend as a priority the closest family members, spouses and minor children of citizens, of legal immigrants, and parents of citizens are admitted as expeditiously as possible. I urge the Congress to adopt tough policies needed to verify employment authorization. What the Commission is concerned about are the unskilled workers in our society, in an age in which unskilled workers have far too few opportunities open to them. When immigrants are less well educated and less skilled, they may pose economic hardships for the most vulnerable of Americans, particularly those who are unemployed or underemployed. And the Commission sees no justification to the continued entry of unskilled foreign workers unless the rationale for their admission otherwise serves a significant national interest, as does the admission of nuclear family members and refugees.
Okay, so that's Barbara Jordan talking about her immigration plan. So actually, that's not my idea. The Jordan Commission was established with the 1990 Immigration Act, and from that they established a bipartisan commission chaired by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. And they came back with recommendations that were to reduce immigration down to 550,000 annually and deport those who were here illegally. Now, unfortunately, we were ruled by Bill Clinton and the Republican Congress. They didn't see it fit to implement a good policy like that. They didn't serve their political interests, their financial interests. So they ignored the good recommendations of the Jordan Commission and left the immigration policy the wreck that it is. So my idea is, Barbara Jordan's recommendation is to repeal the 1965 Immigration Act as well as the 1990 Immigration Act and instead reduce it to 550,000 annually. On top of that, I'm going to propose a grand compromise. Now, a contentious issue is the issue of what to do with all 11 million undocumented illegal aliens in the country right now. My solution, or a compromise, would be, okay, let's say we legalize the 11 million illegal aliens in exchange for we grandfather out birthright citizenship. So that way both sides get a little something get a little takeaway. 11 million plus undocumented, to legalize that, that's a colossal concession. So I think a fair deal would be to make a colossal concession to the other side. So that's my grand compromise. I'm sure it's going to get a lot of people worked up, but that's my best idea for that. And plus I'm going to talk about Donald Trump. He wants to build a wall, and that's not very popular. Instead, what I would do is I would use that same money and force the 500,000 visa overstays that we had just last year. There was 500,000 people here on visas. They overstayed, and we don't know where they are. So the money that we would have spent on the wall, I personally would think that's better money spent for employer sanctions, which are rarely enforced, as well as the visa overstays. That's my idea. And moving along to, and this is another important issue that doesn't get addressed, is a lot of times countries, they have people come over here on various visas, student visas, work visas, tourist visas, and then something happens and they commit a crime against against a citizen. They commit murder, rape, or molestation. So they serve their time in jail, and then at the end of that, we want to send them back to their country of origin, and their country says, no, we don't want them, we're not going to take them back. And that's not right. So what should happen after, in my opinion, is what we should do is, if a country doesn't want to take back their bad apples, what we do is we say, okay, you don't have to take them back, but we're not going to allow any more visas from your country until you step into the modicum of responsibility that comes with the freedom and the ability to send your immigrants' visas over to us. So that's my solution right there. Countries that refuse deportees. And finally, we have to get it straight with our federal jurisdiction. Now, here in California, we had a proposition called 187 that was rejected on the premise that immigration is solely a federal jurisdiction. Arizona SB 1070 was the same way. They said, no, you can't do that. That's a federal jurisdiction. In the meantime, unfortunately, we have sanctuary cities. That's states and localities enacting their own immigration policies, from sanctuary cities, in-state tuition, driver's license, and so on and so on and so forth. So what I'm asking for is just a consistency. If you want to say immigration is a federal jurisdiction, that's fine, but it has to apply in both directions. So if you want to say that 187 is unconstitutional and SB 1070 is unconstitutional, that means also sanctuary cities have to be unconstitutional as well. If you want to go the opposite way and say that states and localities should be allowed to enact their own immigration policies, I'm fine with that too. I just want the same rules to apply to both sides. And that is, in a nutshell, the Patten immigration plan. And moving along, these are my other takes I have. Now this is the endorsement I was going to talk about. I endorse none of the above, because so honestly, I am disgusted by Trump and Hillary. It's not an easy thing to say. I just don't like them as human beings. I don't think Trump's a good guy. Hillary's very corrupt. And beyond this election, none of the above should be an option on every ballot. Not just this election, from the Senate races, to the congressional, to the governors. Both political parties are just woefully out of touch. And so the rest of us, we're not aligning with ourselves being a party, and yet the two parties continue to cough up these horrible candidates. So none of the above should be an option, not only in this election, but moving forward. That way we have a way to nullify bad choices that we are confronted with. So that's my first plan right there. Going along, and Obamacare has been a controversial topic. This is my one addendum to the healthcare thing, is members of Congress, as well as the President and administration, as well as the Supreme Court, as a taxpayer and a citizen, the only taxpayer-provided healthcare they should get is their trip down to the VA, and they can go stand in line with the rest of the vets and wait their turn, and perhaps that will compel them to provide the veterans with the better care that they afford themselves. So that'd be my addendum to the healthcare issue, is make them, we will provide you VA healthcare, but nothing beyond that. If you want beyond that, that's okay. You can pay for that out of your own pocket. That addresses that issue. And here's another great idea I have, which is called the identification for a voter, to vote and of gun ownership should be identical. Staple those two issues together. What I think that does is it kind of moderates both the extremes on both sides, because the far left is always going to say, well, it's an infringement of our rights if you ask for ID to vote. And the far right always says, well, you can't ask for all these things for us to own a gun. So that's an infringement of our rights. So if you tie them two together, they kind of can't be so extreme. So I think that's a good start. I'll put it this way. The people you don't trust with a gun in their hand, I don't trust with a ballot in their hand, and vice versa. That's my take on that. And this is another idea that I have, which is called tax day and election day should be on the same day. That way people are more compelled to I don't know how to say it, staple, to associate their taxes that they're paying to the decisions they have to make at the ballot box. That's why I think that's an important thing, as well as make it a day off where people have to go to work and fight traffic and do all these things. We have national holidays for mainly during the year. Basically, the day after the Super Bowl is another holiday. If you want more civic participation, I think that having a national holiday to vote is a great way to start on that, and make it and tie it into your taxes as well. And finally, as far as the primaries are concerned, I don't agree with the idea that, the presidents, they go through the whole election process, they go 50 states, and at the end of the primaries, then they spring up their surprise on us who their vice president is going to be. I say they have to put their vice president before they even run for the primaries, and that way they run as a ticket throughout all the 50 state primaries. That way maybe they just bring Sarah Palin or John Edwards upon us. Voters might have a different take on it and might take their votes elsewhere. So that's about it on those fronts as well. And I'm running way ahead on time, and so we're going to go ahead and move along to a little segment we did on Politicon. And about a month ago, we went to Fast Politics, took a trip to Politicon, and we got some opinions.
Support Donald Trump this year.
Begin.
I'm a Bernie supporter because I believe in equality.
Supporting Ted Cruz for president 2016.
I'm supporting Donald Trump.
I'm a registered Republican, and I am voting for Hillary Clinton.
I still am weirded out by these things. I feel like it's trying to steal my soul. It's like a giant eye in a smoking appearing.
Go ahead and introduce yourself here.
I'm dealing with this. All right. My name is Alexander Hamilton. I need no further introduction. I am James Madison, the colony sweetheart.
The reason I'm supporting Donald Trump is because immigration is very important to me. My mom is from Mexico, but she came to this country legally. She's here legally. She's very patriotic, and I feel that with uncontrolled, unchecked immigration, our country will fall apart. And so we need a president who will actually fulfill his promise and fix our broken immigration system.
Sure.
My top issues are very consistent with the issues of the Tea Party, but I'm also very sympathetic to libertarians. I would say my top issue is personal freedom, followed closely by economic freedom and then fiscal responsibility.
The most important issue for me being Southern Californian is immigration, and I think that he has the best policies.
Well, I am from New York State. Hillary Clinton was my senator for 8 years, and contrary to popular belief, she did a fine job as senator. I don't think there's anyone more qualified to be president, and I'm not so sure personality matters as much as qualifications. So I think Hillary is our best choice right now.
Okay, so we're sitting with Alexander.
Yes.
So who are you supporting in this presidential race?
Well, that is an interesting question, you say. You see, I do not support ignorant voters.
My first action would probably be to piece through all the executive actions that President Obama has made and see if there are some I can get rid of right away. And I'd also definitely work towards getting rid of the ACA. That's something a lot of us can agree on.
I'd throw a giant party at the White House.
Abolish the IRS, those crooks.
Probably spend most of the time flying on Air Force One. Well, most likely I would go to Italy, visit some family, but really just fly around the world as much as I can.
I don't think that I can solve the immense amount of problems that America has today in one day. Let's be honest, he'd be too busy hitting on women. Well, I suppose that is true. Your women today are just so beautiful. I mean, I think they're taller than the women we had back in our day. They seem to be actually taller. Intriguing, is it? Tall women intrigue you. Do you know how sexist that sounds? Do you understand nothing about the talking points of modern times? Well, no, I've only been here a week, Hamilton. Give me a break. And did you not read all of Wikipedia? I read as much Wikipedia as I could, but most of the days I was out perusing for tail at the bar. I've already written 300 essays in the week you've been here. You don't need to rub that in everyone's face. We understand. You're great at writing things. You know who's better than... Yes. I'm prolific. Okay. You know who's better at writing things than you? Lin-Manuel Miranda. You made me go there. You made me go there. I am done with you, sir. I am done with this interview. Good day to you. It was lovely to meet you.
You have a great performance here.
Performance? My friend is an ass. He is an insufferable...
Surprise! Is our loyal host, Matt Schneider.
Yes, I was. You called me in from off the bench.
Yes, our
That's why explaining my casual attire.
You're always casual, looking
Right.
sharp.
Thank you. Riveting show, though. I've been very riveted.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. So what's on the agenda?
Well, let's talk about your take on current events. As you know, Donald Trump has fired his campaign manager, and they brought a new blood as a Trump supporter. What is your take on that?
Yes. Well, I think that regardless of how the campaign is run, it's going to be won or lost on Trump, the candidate himself. So I think all of this is window dressing, but I'm in favor of it. If Trump's unhappy with the idiots who were running his campaign before, and this will make him happier and more pleasant to be around, then let's go full throttle.
Okay.
Do you think it's a bad thing?
I think obviously the campaign has kind of hit a bump in the road, and sometimes you have to shake it up. But the new blood, maybe the former campaign manager got him through the convention and the speech, and then maybe you need somebody else to take it the rest of the way, like closing
like a pitcher,
like
exactly.
Exactly.
This is like a baseball game, right? They're switching pitchers. It's not a big deal. And if you just look at the polls, he's been down in the polls, so why not shake it up?
Yeah, you got to take a...
What, do you want to go down? And, I mean, if the Titanic's sinking, you don't say, like, well, we got no choice but to let it fall to the bottom of the ocean. Oh. No, put in a new captain and rev up something new and fresh. So I say, amen. Bring on the new campaign team.
I like it, too. Speaking of the captains that are not going fresh, more corruption charges about Hillary Clinton.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. The State Department.
What day is it?
Wednesday.
I'm saying any day.
Yeah,
no matter what day it is, you'll have new corruption charges about Hillary Clinton.
Any day that ends with Y.
Yes. But, you know what? I guess people are baked into that cake as well, that Hillary is just corrupt, and people are still going to vote for her anyway. So that's partially what I've been saying the past few weeks is, I don't know what else I can say, what else people can be told about Hillary Clinton to not be interested in voting for her, but she still is winning over Trump. So my ultimate fear or conclusion is basically just that nothing's going to be decided until the debates. I think everyone's putting all the chips on the table for the debates, and I say let the best man or woman win in a debate, because you have Trump, who a lot of people say is crazy, you have Hillary, who a lot of people say is corrupt, so it'll basically wipe the slate clean and just see who is better on the debate stage.
Absolutely.
What do you mean, absolutely? You said none of the above before. Yeah. So I'm saying, would that be something, would you, if you're none of the above, if you see one of them clearly win in a debate over and over and over again, would that be something that help you sway in one this way or the other?
Not Hillary. That history is goes too far back with her and Bill Clinton. We know what that is. Trump, maybe if he turns it around, starts to act a little more cognizant of what's going on, could be persuaded. But regardless, there should be none of the above option for every election, I think. Regardless, give the people a chance.
All right, but what if 55% voted for none of the above? Well, what happens?
What happens then is obviously everyone on that ballot gets disqualified. As far as the office, if you vacate the office at that point, that
would mean then the Speaker of the House would be president, basically?
For a period of time.
So you want President Paul Ryan?
Sure. For, say, 6 months.
Until what, then?
Until we get new candidates, and
so we have to go through a whole nother election. Yeah. I've had a headache. I need to do things other than election talk, round the clock, and having people hate me for liking Trump. I think it's I'm ready. Either Trump's going to win or lose. I'm fine at this point.
And you'll be done with it.
It's time to move on. Nation, it's time to move on. We have 90 days, or it's under 90 days, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's go. And what about, so you're none of the above, what about, you don't like Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson?
I'm not too happy with them. I don't think he's up to the job. I mean, he's okay with the legalized marijuana. I mean, everyone's on board with that these days. And as far as foreign policy and their things, I'm not too impressed with them.
What about the Grandma Green candidate?
Jill Stein, I'm not too familiar with her.
Right. Most people aren't.
Yeah, I guess I'm one of the majority there.
Okay. So you're voting none of the above, or write-in?
I might vote myself in.
Oh, I'd vote for Tony.
Yeah. I'd vote for Matt, too.
Perfect. We cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So there will be no votes for either of us then. All right. Well, I say stay tuned, because I think Trump can only get better, and I think Hillary, we already know. There's not, like you said, there's nowhere to go for her. So, and Trump could screw it up even further. I've said in the past that I'm getting tired of defending some of his craziest things, but I still think he's better. Sorry, folks.
We have to look at it this way, I think. Let's just say that Trump keeps even one of his promises. Will we be better off? Versus if Hillary keeps any of her promises, would we be better off? Because, I mean, politicians, they tend to say things that aren't true, so you're just kind of taking a crapshoot, I guess.
Right.
In that regard.
Right. Well, we're screwed either way, some people would say. I'd say, though, Trump is so worried about his own legacy and so worried about what people think about him that he'd have no option but to do an amazing job. He would do a spectacular, golden, fabulous job.
And I think he would delegate most of it. He would hire the best people that he could and do that.
Right. Although I've heard just to criticize myself a little, if Trump brags about being such a great businessman, the fact that he's gotten through 3 management teams of his campaign, which is essentially a business, is proof that that claim might not be 100% accurate. But that's ultimately why I think campaigns are good, because as much as I disliked Obama and had a feeling he wasn't going to be a great president, the fact is he ran a campaign much better than his 2 opponents.
Yeah, he's a great campaigner and a great speaker. I got to give him that.
Right. So in a way, I mean, he earned, I never questioned his legitimacy of being president, because he won it fair and square both times.
Yeah.
And that's one element of Trump's talking I'm not that big a fan of right now, is when he says, if Hillary Clinton wins, clearly it was rigged, because there's no other way he could have lost.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but it's not true.
One thing I'm concerned about Hillary is all this hacking and stuff. Foreign governments, they could be at the point where they're holding back stuff, and maybe they can use that as leverage against her to get...
Oh my God, definitely.
So they could use it for blackmail. Not only that, with their Clinton Foundation, they also might be calling some favors because they give her money, versus Trump, they don't know what they're going to get. I think other countries are actually afraid. They have no idea what this guy might do, so maybe that gives them pause.
Exactly. Oh my God, you're 100% right. I mean, that's ultimately why Obama so stupidly says, leaders around the world are fearful of a Trump presidency without realizing that's a good thing.
Right. There's
Okay, he's saying that like they're fearful because then America would become like a crazy nation. But we don't want, like, as is, nobody respects, like Russia right now. Putin is on the rise. He's like a superpower alongside our country, and it's mainly because he doesn't respect Obama and he doesn't take him seriously. So, and he doesn't fear him either. And I think we don't necessarily wants a president that other countries fear, but we do want a president that is unexpected and that keeps people on their toes and that is ultimately maybe a little crazy. Why not? We have a Congress also to keep him in check. A lot of people think he's going to be a dictator or insane because they don't understand how the Constitution works. Ultimately, there's nothing to fear. We have a Congress and congressional Democrats and Republicans who will always rein in Trump if he gets a little too out there. So let's shake it up and vote for Trump. So, Tony, are you on board?
We'll see some debates. I want to see him at least perform the debates. Give me a little bit of confidence he's not totally out there.
Oh, he's not. He's in there.
And I've also
he's totally in there.
I've also heard a rumor that he might be giving way to Mike Pence. I mean, it's kind of a crazy.
That's definitely not a rumor. Trust me. The one thing Trump does not like to do is lose.
Yeah,
he would not.
His ego wouldn't allow that.
His ego would not allow it.
Yeah.
All right. So what else you got? You got final nuggets of information?
Here in Hollywood, we don't always give our kudos to Hollywood, so we don't say happy birthday to some Hollywood stars. We have happy birthday to one of my favorite actors, Robert De Niro. I love him in Godfather and Goodfellas and Midnight Run. Also,
wow.
It's Madonna's birthday.
How old is he?
He's old. I don't know how old he is.
Pretty old.
And Madonna, I remember one year she was singing Like a Virgin, and the next year she was singing She's Gonna Keep Her Baby. But I guess if you're the Madonna, that could make sense.
Whoops.
And also we have
Where'd the baby come from?
That's a great question. And then we also want to talk about here in West Hollywood, we have a social media workshop coming up this Friday at 1 p.m. here at the next door at the library.
Ooh.
And also we have a Golden State of Cannabis coming up next week as well.
Look at that. And they should go to social media workshops so they could follow us on social media at our various locales, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, and weeklyshowtv.com.
And there you have it. All you social media savvy techies out there can follow us on social media. Want to give some credits out to the people who deserve it. Great crew that we always have. It takes a village to make a great show like this and rivet the nation. That's what we do all the time.
Amen.
Amen. And any final thoughts for us today, Matt?
And great work, Tony, for coming out of the control room and into the hearts of the viewers around the world.
I'm really hoping Christopher family will come through with that ransom money. I want to get him back on in 2 weeks. And rest assured, everybody, he's okay. I promise. He's in perfect health, and look forward to seeing him in a couple weeks.
Or not. No, I'm kidding. Who knows? Anything can happen. Stay tuned each week. This is a thrilling ride. We'll see if Chris ever returns.
It's an ongoing soap opera here at Fast Politics.
Yes.
And oh, by the way,
yes,
as Christopher would say, if it's fast and if it's politics, it is definitely fast politics.
And you can't argue with that. You can try, but you won't succeed. So thank you, everyone, for watching.
Peace out.